Hello, everyone. Good night from United Kingdom live. And obviously, you are listening in all other the world. So, in Australia, good morning, and rest of the part according to your time. I wish you a great time ahead. We are back with another show which is going to focus today on Australia. Australia is a beautiful country. It's rich with natural resources and beautiful, loving, caring people who has inspired the world over the year and made them as a nation and come up with a financially independent country. The most number of rich people in Australia is exceeding now, which means that people in Australia are smart and they love their resources, country, and the people. And today we are going to talk about the fiscal achievements, the fiscal situation, the fiscal policy that's which is made by government, how the government is smartly working in Australia and try to make their citizen proud. And for that to discuss, we have invited Imran Ashraf live from Sydney, Australia, who's joining us. Please welcome him.
Thank you, Musa, and good morning to all the viewers and listeners. And as this is a beautiful Sunday morning in Australia,
That's
and
amazing, Imran. We are now starting the winter and the weather is touching
yes,
almost zero. But the
yes,
weather in London is always romantic, you're cloudy and amazing. So a lot of tourists I have seen in the last few weeks are visiting, enjoying the winter. And you are lucky you are enjoying the sunny days, which I'm missing. So our
yes.
audience is very excited today to understand about Australian fiscal policy. So Mike is with you now.
Thank you so much, Musa. And it's a very beautiful and very interesting topic because you know that in any economy, the two important element is fiscal policy and the monetary policy. So I would like to explain step by step the role of fiscal policy in Australia. The main objective of the fiscal policy in Australia is stabilizing the economy by reducing the gross and national debt as a share of the economy. So every year, government actually make budget. The main objective of the government is to bring the balance in the budget with the average course of time by stabilizing the economy. And government set out the medium term strategy to achieve budget surpluses by introducing the new taxes and managing its government spending. At the moment, we have seen that in Australia, the fiscal deficit or the government deficit is around 1.5% of the gross domestic product (GDP), and it is expected to increase to 2% of the GDP by 2024 to 2025. And then Australian government and the through the planning of managing the taxes and government spending, the Commonwealth has a plan to reduce the net debt to zero by 2029 to 2030 and bring the budget into surplus on average as an economic cycle. And they have pretty much formalizing their fiscal policy and the existing these coming years budget toward that direction when they would be able to achieve that economic surpluses. We all know that Musa, fiscal policy main objective is to implement taxes and reform programs in the society where people or the people of the nation will get the maximum benefit. So when government in Australia, through their fiscal policy, introduce new taxes to generate more revenue, and they adjust the size of spending, there is a complete policy reforms and there is a complete policy discussion being done. Either it is reliant on the party agendas and portfolios, which party is in power, that this is what the benefits, this is what they planning and think tanks will think can give to the society as a benefit, as a measures where they can achieve maximum employment opportunities, more output from the economy. However, these all planning will be discussed at the policy level by the policy departments and then implemented by the government. And it will become as a rule of law when it is passed by the both house of the government, the parliament, and the Senate. In saying there is a complete debate, there is a complete discussion, but the very important point which I would like to highlight there: any new government tax, any new government way of collecting the revenue will have a complete breakdown where government can actually provide its breakdown to the public through its policy, that this is the amount of revenue we are going to generate through this new taxation rule or to this new policy measure, and this is how we will spend that money in the public, in the society, in these different programs, and this is how the society will get the benefit from this new tax. I can give you an example. In the recent year fiscal budget, the government has introduced the new reforms and the new ways of collecting the tax. Pretty much the main idea of the government is to provide an excessive benefit in the child care sector. As you know that Australia is one of the advanced and developed economies around the world, where the contribution among the workforce from both genders, male and females, is quite high. So one of the challenging factor which is faced by the everyday family is the a child care facility, because when mom and dad both have to work, they also need to see the platform where there is who's going to look after their kid or family or child when they both will be in the office or busy in their office or the job engagement responsibilities. So government has introduced the measures where they will be providing more excessive facilities through childcare, up till to the combined couple income of $580,000, and that facilities is going to sink into the childcare benefit by 2024 to 2025. So some of the relaxation will be given this fiscal year, and some will come into effect in the next fiscal year. Similarly, we can see that there is a big debate going on in Australia for the paid parental leave, because we also need to emphasize the population growth in Australia. When we look toward the population growth in Australia, we also need to emphasize the aging population in Australia. We also need to emphasize on the new, the young generation, the young population, the young working population of Australia. And for that, all these economic factors, government today need to take some steps which will ensure the coming generations, in coming decades, that certain good steps have been taken by the government in those financials and fiscal years, which has given the opportunities to the families where they would be able to afford a child or the birth of the child in, and having the opportunity of the paid parental leave up till 26 weeks. So which means that government is giving guarantee and support to the paid parental leave up till 26 weeks once any family is going to have a baby or a child. Going forward in coming decades, you will see that these are the important areas which will definitely have a positive impact on the Australian workforce and human capital as well. In going further, there are a few other important objectives of the fiscal policy in Australia and a few important objectives are allocating of resources, short-term stabilization, longer-term development, and maximizing employment. So these are other areas where government is working quite importantly and quite realistically, so that they can increase the short-term stabilization in the economy, and at the same time they will provide maximum or generate maximum employment opportunities in the society, so that the um, general living standard or the general living um, index of the people will be better off, or at least remain stable by the implementation of the new taxes or the revenue collection method. So in saying that, in Australia, the fiscal policy play a very important role, and it is the responsibility of the government through its Treasury Department and some other important policy institutions, where the government needs to find the objective, how they can actually provide benefit to the society, benefit to the Australian society, benefit to the Australian people, and make them willing that they would happily pay these taxes, and these taxes will actually giving in return as a benefit to the society. We have seen in the very recent past, during the pandemic event, the government at that time was following the expansionary fiscal policy measures, where the government has reduced the taxes and government had borrowed excessive money and outflow that money to different channels and measures among the government, among the society, among the people. In some cases, government has given a lot of financial relief to the big institutions and corporations, so that they won't lay off their staff in the form of indirect wages, support, and benefits. So the idea behind all these expansionary measures was to keep the economy stabilized, keep the economy balanced, so that in coming years, we might see that in the next few years, the pattern of fiscal policy in Australia could be towards the contractionary, where the government might increase taxes and reduce spending, so that they will cover that deficit or cover that excessive amount of inflow which they have spent in the last 2 to 3 fiscal year during the pandemic period. And going further, Musa, as I have explained, that the fiscal deficit of Australia at the moment is in negative zone, and it is sitting at 1.5% of the GDP. But through these measures, the government has a plan to bring it into the positive zone by the end of 2029 and 2030. And I think every government, every political party, those who came into power in Australia, or similarly in like other developed and advanced economies, their main objective is to achieve the financial freedom by having a maximum employment opportunities, by increasing the living standard of the local population, by introducing the taxes and stabilizing the economy in a way that it won't act as a burden on the people's pocket. So in saying, it's a very balanced, it's a very stabilized fiscal policy. And just on a brief note, I would also like to put some light on the existence and instance of the fiscal policy in Australia. It is not, I mean, it is not century old. The formulation of the reliant on fiscal policy in Australia was came into existence in the mid 1980s, and in mid 1990s we have actually agreed on some sort of charter for the honesty of fiscal budget and fiscal management. And so in saying, the history of fiscal policy and its implementation in Australia is not that old, but its implementation is obviously very strict and very honest, and doesn't matter whichever the political party will be in the government. Um, the people, the nation will decide based on the policies and agendas of the political party what they are willing to give them as a benefit, what they are willing to give them as a incentive to the society by implementation or of those taxes and collecting revenue and all these things. Yes, Musa.
That's amazing, Imran. You gave a very insightful analysis of the fiscal policy. And I want to thank you for joining us live from Sydney and enlighten us, the rest of the world, that how the Aussies are doing great, as they are great in sports. I can feel that they are great in their corporate governance and their parliamentary systems and their government fiscal policies. Australia, with inflation rate of around 7%, annual growth 1%, and a decent sized population full of natural resources, and listening from you such a dynamic analysis, I wish all the Aussies best of luck. And I want to thank you for joining us today. And I'm hoping to see you in the next program with a new show focusing on Australia and people to learn how to be a great nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.